Unlike last week, when Alexa and I went north to the Armenian highlands, this time we're heading south. Our goal is to visit 2 more monasteries, one of the most historic caves in the world, and check out the fascinating borderlands region with both Turkey and Azerbaijan. And to get there, we're going with a brand new friend.
I'm Alexa.
And I'm Geoff.
Together, we're exploring the history and geography of the world, one place at a time.
All right, we are leaving our hotel, or our room here, to go meet up with our tour guide, who's going to take us down to the southern part of Armenia. Unlike last week, we are not renting a car because I just can't do it anymore. Also, this is more of a day trip anyways, but I'm really excited to show you guys some of the places down there and also kind of see some of the border areas of both Turkey and a weird exclave of Azerbaijan. Sort of complicates this whole region of Armenia. It's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we have officially left Yerevan and we are heading to the Ararat Valley, where hopefully we'll see some really good views of Mt Ararat and I believe Lesser Ararat. Is that the smaller mountain right there? Lesser Ararat. You might notice that there's a third person with us, so let me introduce you to our guide for the day, Yeva. She will be showing us all around, and of course Alexa's back there in the back seat. This should be a lot of fun, and I think what's most going to be interesting to you all is that the stunning geography and topography that we're going to see today, as well as being able to look over into, as I'm doing right now, into other countries, because Armenia can be quite narrow at times and we'll be sort of hugging the border, which is just going to be a really interesting place to be and sort of see and experience. So with that said, our next stop is
Ararat Monastery.
A monastery for you all, as usual. While we're getting gas, let's explain one weird quirk about Armenia. If you ever drive or rent a car in Armenia, you're going to notice that they have a lot of different kinds of gas. There's normal petroleum, like what you would find in Europe and North America, but then there's also something called LPG, which is very cheap, but also volatile, and requires very expensive conversions on cars. Our car is not an LPG car, but it's a big enough deal in Armenia that it's worth pointing out. Armenia is an extremely mountainous country overall. Over 85% of the country is covered in mountains. Because of this, there's not a whole lot of land that's available for agriculture. But the region just south of the capital of Yerevan just happens to be a large and very fertile valley. This means that the vast majority of the country's fruits and vegetables come from this region. And of course, while driving through the valley, one prominent landmark is very visible, Mt Ararat. But we'll get to that in a little bit.
We have been told that there are snakes and that we should do this, like stomp our feet a little bit on the ground when we can't see the ground. I can see the ground, I'm just being dramatic. But we did see I think it was dead, snake and diligence, so I know snakes exist here in Armenia, and it is hot.
Once again, we are presented with just the best view you can possibly imagine. And I think once again, the camera's just not gonna do it justice. Wow, that is incredible. You have like the monastery,
Yep.
Mt Ararat and Lesser Ararat. That monastery over there is Khor, Virap, which we are going to, but we wanted to stop here because even though there is a really amazing view from that monastery, it's a little bit more clear with these bushes and brush right here to be able to see both the mountains at the same time, which, if you didn't know any better, you would think we're in Armenia. But this is part of the borderlands area that we sort of wanted to experience and talk about today, because both of these mountains, Mt Ararat and Lesser Ararat, are actually in Turkey, which is really interesting because Armenia has no official diplomatic relations with Turkey because of a lot of unfortunate history between the two. But it's so close.
We've got cornfields and now Khor Virap, which we will be going to soon.
Or is it corn Virap?
So funny.
Meeting my friend Kovanes, later we will go to his place to try some dry fruits. He also offered some space to people from Nagorno-Karabakh.
Okay, let's pause for a quick second and explain what Artsakh is, also known as Nagorno-Karabakh. This was a historic region and exclave of Armenia that was completely surrounded by Azerbaijan. It was a place that was home primarily to ethnic Armenians for centuries. During the Soviet occupation of the entire region, this wasn't too much of an issue because the Soviets controlled everything. But once the Soviet Union collapsed, Azerbaijan decided they wanted the land back for their own. This started with the first Nagorno-Karabakh War in 1994, then another in 2020, a blockade over the region by Azerbaijan in 2022, and finally another war in 2023 that ended the quasi-autonomous region's independence and association with Armenia, causing thousands of ethnic Armenians to flee to Armenia proper.
Marina, for example, she was a teacher in the school, but coming back from there to Armenia, she couldn't find a work for her profession.
Yeah.
But she decided to do something which will always remind about her roots.
Yeah.
And this something is this special bread called Zhingyalov. Zhingyal is a type of herb she uses for production. Here she authentically makes it by hand. The dough is made only from water, flour, and salt. That's
Wow.
it.
I wasn't expecting to make bread, but I was ready for the challenge. First, I rolled the dough thin, just like a pizza. Then, we added the filling of local herbs, salt, and oil. The folding part was an art, but the expert baker showed me how it's done. She guided me through the final flattening right before it was baked. I was so lucky to have her help, and even luckier to try the delicious result.
That's so good. It's very hot.
I just burned my tongue.
You can like taste the herbs. It's just,
Yeah,
That's
it's a
very
very
fresh.
healthy, very nice.
it's light. That's very good.
How fun watching Alexa make some authentic Artsakh bread. Delicious bread. Mulberry house for the mulberry tree.
Now that we've had some bread and got a great view of Mt Ararat, it's time for us to make our way to the actual monastery that sits in the shadow of this gigantic mountain.
As to be expected, lots of stairs. Always lots of stairs.
It's so pretty, so green.
Khor Virap is one of the most sacred sites in all of Armenia. Located in the Ararat plain, about 100 meters from the Turkish border, this monastery is a place of both history and religion for Armenians. And while the church seen today was built in the 17th century, the monastery story begins much earlier. You see, this was once a royal dungeon, and its name literally translates to deep pit. It was here that St. Gregory the Illuminator was imprisoned for 13 years by the pagan king Tiridates III. According to legend, Gregory miraculously survived and later cured the king of a debilitating illness, an event that led the king to convert and declare Armenia the very first Christian nation in the world in the year 301.
Now this is really interesting. So right behind me, you can see this gate and this road, and that is officially the border for most Armenians and Turkish people. You know, we are not allowed to cross over there because Armenia and Turkey don't have an open border. It's completely closed. However, apparently, if you're an Armenian farmer and you own land over there, you can cross over, and it becomes sort of this border region where Turkey and Armenia mix a little bit, which is, again, quite unusual. But it just goes to show the complicated nature of both of these countries. I could probably spend all day looking at that border and studying it, but again, we're in here in a beautiful monastery, so you should probably actually see this. Ooh, got a duck. Oh.
And in case you were wondering, yes, we did get a chance to go into the famous dungeon itself. And just like you would expect, it was cold, damp, and very oppressive.
Down we go. This is just straight down. I can see why you want to hold on to both. Wow. I mean, I wasn't expecting it just to be a straight, like, drop. I thought it was like a winding stairs. Strictly one-way traffic, going up and down. So if people are coming down, you're not going back up.
So right behind me is a painting that tells a story of Gregory Illuminator. It references St. Mino, who we saw back on our wine tasting tour, where she was buried in Georgia. But what's really interesting, this tells the story of Christianity, how that started, and how Armenia became the first Christian nation in the world.
Time to head back up, yeah?
Yeah.
Can confirm, I think going up is a lot harder than going down those steep steps. That was scary. All right, Khor Virap was a lot of fun. Very beautiful, very interesting history, but we gotta get to our next stop, I believe.
While we could have spent even more time at Khor Virap, we had more to see in southern Armenia. Up next, another monastery, but not without first driving through a bizarre exclave of Azerbaijan, something that a geography nerd like me simply could not let go.
We made a quick pit stop before we go to Noravank Monastery, and we are in a stork nest village. You can see there, all over are these like massive stork nests. And I think they're out and about right now, probably like getting food and stuff. But our friend Geva, who's been showing us around, said that, yeah, you can sometimes see the storks flying around too. They're huge.
There must be a lot of babies in this town.
Aww.
Storks that bring babies, right? Is that
Yes.
Right? Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you get it. Okay, so Alexa and I have made it to Noravank Monastery, which I'm going to show you in just a second. But before I do that, I just have to gush about something.
Here we go again.
On our way here, we're driving down the highway, and we obviously went very close to the Turkish border. But what you might not know is that we actually got really close to the Azerbaijani border as well. There's an autonomous region down here where if you look up into the hills from the highway, you can see a bunch of military installations. There's obviously a very good reason for that. Azerbaijan and Armenia, very tumultuous history, even very recently. What's most interesting though is that as we're driving to Noravank, we actually passed by a tiny exclave of Azerbaijan. And so while functionally we drove through it just as if it was Armenia, technically it is Azerbaijan. And that is so fascinating and shows again the absurdity of borders, because a few weeks ago when we were in Barl-Hertog and there was the Belgium and Netherlands town that was sort of intermingling and mixing and matching, while those were borders, they're also part of the European Union, which means that they're not really borders in the same way. These are real borders. And so the fact that we just drove right on through, technically we can say we've been to Azerbaijan.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But you would never know it. There was never any sign and nobody ever stopping us. So completely wild, absurd. With that said, As you can see, there's the monastery. But I had to talk about it before we headed in because it was just too cool from a geography standpoint to ignore. All right, now we can go into the monastery.
Tucked away deep inside a narrow gorge carved by the Amago River, the Noravank Monastery in Armenia's Voyatzdor province is a masterpiece of medieval architecture. Set against a stunning backdrop of dramatic red cliffs, the complex was primarily built during the 13th century, though parts of it date slightly earlier. And its importance to Armenia comes from its role as the seat of the powerful Orbelian dynasty, who ruled the entire region from the 11th century to the 15th century, and are still buried here to this day. It wasn't just a fortress of power, but also a major religious and cultural center, famously associated with the work of the master architect and sculptor Momek.
Beautiful monastery behind us, and yet we're all trying to see goats on a hill. Do you see them, Alexa?
Not quite.
I also don't see the goats.
I can't see it. I can't see it.
Astute viewers of ours will note that this is now our 8th monastery here in Armenia. There's a lot more too. We're just not going to visit them all.
Of course, one other benefit of visiting Noravank is the opportunity to get off the beaten path a little bit and explore the incredible surroundings. Our guide Yeva took us up the hillside a bit so we could get a view of both the monastery and the incredible canyon it sits in.
See, if you're willing to do just a little bit of climbing, you can get away from all the other tourists.
This might just be the most epic monastery I've ever been to.
Which is saying something, because we've literally been to 7 others before this.
A few moments later.
All right, Alexa's shoes, too worn out. She's slipping and sliding. So, this is gonna be a solo adventure. It's just me and you guys. But we're not going too far. I just wanna see if I can see around this canyon a little bit.
The wilderness must be explored. Go, go.
Well, can't see more canyon, that's for sure. It is very beautiful, but otherwise not a whole lot to see. There's a cave up there. I'm not gonna try and scrabble up there. This place is incredible though. Like I said, the topography, I love it. Very Southwest United States. Unfortunately, getting up is the easy part. It's always going down that's tricky. So, especially with a bunch of loose rocks. One thing I don't want to do is take a tumble.
12 seconds later.
Ooh. Caught myself. This is dicey. I probably should have thought a little harder about this before scrabbling up all these rocks. Made it.
After we were done with Noravank, our final monastery in Armenia, we had one more thing to see, a very special cave that helps paint the picture of some of the early humans who inhabited the region.
There are bats. Oh, we are going to a cave and there are bats.
Friendly bats. Lovable, cuddly, all these bats. Did I get you?
As we make our way through Ararat Cave, it starts off with a bang. This is actually the location of the oldest shoe ever found. It's over 5,000 years old.
Apparently there are 400 bats in this cave. Are you gonna be okay?
I'm gonna be okay, but it's not exactly my favorite thing to hear.
Also, to be determined whether this is actually a cave or not.
I think it is. We have spotted a bat. Oh. okay.
I've seen better. Why are you the way that you are?
There's some really old things that have been found there.
That is true. A lot of history in that cave, but it wasn't very deep and it was very crowded. I don't know about Alexa, but we have not eaten anything since breakfast.
We've been too busy seeing sights, exploring, doing cool stuff.
So now it is time for food.
And most importantly, a nice drink. You can't be in one of Armenia's top wine regions and not try the wine.
I would never dare such a thing.
Just like when Geoff and I were in Georgia, our trip today includes a traditional Armenian meal at a local winery. And this is coming just in time because we are hungry.
Literally how they're going to make our barbecue today is through this oven in the ground. Wild. Let's do a quick cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Oh, that's good.
That's really nice.
So delicious.
A sip of happiness.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
This is quite the smorgasbord of Armenian food here. Eggplant with some yogurt in it. This is unbelievably good. Oh my God. That might be the best thing I've ever had. It's only the first thing I've had.
You have to be perfectionist.
And you just roll it up. Yeah.
All right. Roll it up like a taquito, kind of. That's really good.
A few minutes later.
We devoured a bunch of food, but it's not over yet. We still have the barbecue, and it's coming out right now, and it smells delicious.
Armenians, like most people around the world, love a good barbecue, but they do it a little bit differently. Instead of a grill, they dig a deep hole, fire it up with wood or charcoal, and then suspend the meat from the top. This ensures that everything gets cooked evenly all around. The end result is a barbecue experience quite unlike anything else in the world.
All right, we got our final course, I'm assuming. Maybe, we'll see. Which is barbecue pork. Look at that. And a little piece of chicken, because that was a big piece of pork. This is also a lot of food. Oh, and the potato. And the potato too.
There we go.
First, just gonna cut off the fat here.
It gets the flavor of the meat in the potato. Oh my gosh.
Pork. Armenian barbecue pork.
Good.
It's so good. Very tender and very savory. We're gonna finish our meal, but we'll see you guys afterwards.
With our delicious meal done and the sun beginning to set, our friend had one more thing she wanted to show us. An amazing view of the entire valley.
All right, y'all. It has been such a fun day going to the southern part of Armenia, getting close to the Azerbaijan and Turkish borders, and seeing all the monasteries.
And more importantly, showing you guys the border regions, which is kind of what this whole episode is about. And I hope that if there's one thing you take away from this episode, it's that despite Armenia having these very complicated and unfriendly relationships with Azerbaijan and Turkey, that these areas are still very beautiful and definitely should be on your bucket list.
And we want to shout out our friend Yeva, who was with Red Hat Tours. We'll leave a link in the description if you want to check out the tours that they offer. They are great.
Tell her we
Definitely
sent you.
Yes.
Just do it.
Just do it!
While you're at it, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe to our channel.
And next week, we are unfortunately leaving the Caucasus region. First, we're going to fly into Nice, France, where we'll then drive up into the Alps. We'll be hiking in the Alps for a couple days.
Yes. So come back next week.
For another adventure.
See you then. I haven't done something like this in a very long time. But I made pasta last night. Not from scratch. I boiled water.
I did a lot of squats yesterday, so now I'm like, when you don't have a path, you forge a path, and then you fall off, and then you die.
Yep, let's not. Oh wow, you can see Mt Ararat.
Mount Ararat.
Oh, Ararat. I don't